Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness world. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright guys, a lot of Rich Piana's fans are upset at me over the video I made yesterday, and there's some things that you guys probably need to come to terms with, and I'm going to ask you to step back and really assess why it is that you're mad at me over those things. Because the thing is, the things that I said didn't come out of a vacuum. I'm not a wonderful, amazing, creative writer who just imagined this up. This is all going to come out later. It's all going to come out later. And in fact, as soon as I made the video, a friend of mine, and I'm going to leave his name out, I'll flip it in here, sent me this message. And he is a top level, elite level power lifter. All right, this is someone who is very well connected themselves in the industry. This is what he sent me as soon as my video went up. And again, someone I know and converse with. And that's the thing that you guys need to understand. Irrespective of what you might think about me, I have friends out there that I've made connections with over the years in bodybuilding, in powerlifting. People still talk to me. They still give me information because I've helped people in the past. They help me out and give me info. When I'm talking about the thing that happened with Rich Piana and him being a major dealer, that didn't come out of a vacuum. I had multiple independent sources for that, and I've been sitting on it for years. All right, that's something I've been sitting on for years, and people are like, well, you scared to say it while he's alive? Guys, I'm not scared of Rich Piana. All right, I wasn't scared of him. I just didn't want to be a total dick and snitch on someone who could get in legal trouble. All right, that's just called not being a dick to someone who you don't have a beef with. I don't really care if someone's a steroid dealer. I really don't. I don't. I think it should be legal. I'm against it being outlawed to begin with. And the thing is, some people are like, well, this is an insult to him. It's slander. First of all, you can't slander the dead. All right? That's all the laws state that. There is no such thing as slandering the dead. Number two, for something to be slander, it has to be a known intentional lie. I've had so many people tell me in person, serious competitive bodybuilders tell me in person over the years that Rich was their steroid dealer. Some of them didn't know each other. And it shouldn't be hard to figure this out. Again, there's going to be so many people that are going to come forward with this later when people start being interviewed. And some of that I'm going to leave alone, but someone very, very close to him is about to do a big interview. And I know this because of a connection of mine. They're going to do an interview, and a lot of this stuff is going to come out. A lot of stuff about his personal life is going to come out. And I'm not going to judge any of that. I'm going to let you guys need to judge that for yourselves. If you're a fan of his and you hear all that, you can make of it whatever you want. But this stuff is all going to come out. But because I've been sitting on this for years, and I told people, well, you know, if he goes ahead and passes, I'll go ahead and mention what I know here. It's relevant news. Furthermore, you can't be a Rich Piana fan and think that steroids are bad. I can't even visualize this concept that if people are like, oh, how could you slander him for distributing something that he believed in the use of? I want you guys to think about that for a moment. If you loved Rich Piana was obsessed with anabolic steroid use. He was basically a steroid addict due to his own bigorexia. He was addicted to them psychologically. He was a massive, self-admitted, unapologetic abuser. Not a user, but an actual abuser. He used abuse-level amounts, was open about it, unapologetic about it. In other words, he wasn't ashamed of that fact. So in other words, you can't accept and like Rich for who he was and still hate steroids, because a massive part of his identity and his public image that he portrayed was an abuser and an unapologetic abuser of the drugs. He was very open about it. So to tie anything related to anabolics to this man and to think it's an insult means that you clearly never watched him. You couldn't possibly have watched what he was about or watched his videos and not know that. So it's not an insult to the man. He lived his life around gear. He was a massive distributor, a massive abuser, and very public about the abuse. And here's the thing. People say, Well, you've talked about his site enhancement. He says he didn't have much. Well, that's the whole point, because he was a walking billboard for his own products. He made a fortune off of all of that before he went into all these other businesses. Again, this is very well known. This is like YouTube Fitness's worst kept secret. I was just the first to pop the story, guys. It's going to be everywhere anyways. It's going to be everywhere anyways. It's going to be out there, and there's going to be a lot more stuff about him that is going to be coming out over the next month or two. And I already know some of it, and I'm leaving it alone because that's other people's stories to pop. But there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. Keep that in mind now that he's passed. And what I said isn't slander. It's real. It was a real deal. It was really happening. And you guys are going to find more and more of that because people are going to start coming forward talking about it. It's not slander. He probably would have been proud of the fact of his empire and what he did. He just didn't want to get in legal trouble. Now that comes the other point. People are like, well, you're snitching. You're snitching. The point of being against snitching is because you don't get people in trouble. That's the only reason people have a problem with snitches, is because snitches get them in trouble. I'm pretty sure he can't be arrested. I'm pretty sure he can't go to jail. The police don't prosecute dead people. It's not snitching. It's just saying, hey, this is who he was. This is what he did. And there's going to be tons of people coming forward about it later. It's going to happen. And people are like, oh, well, his crew might come after you. No, his crew at this point, because of other stuff I've seen come to me, actually the police were already on to what was going on. I'm not saying anything police don't know. And these guys are going to have their own power vacuum. There's a power vacuum with Piana gone. He was a bit of a kingpin, and he was his own marketing person. There's going to be a power vacuum in the whole anabolic world that these guys are going to have to snatch and grab and fight with each other over anyways. I can assure you the last thing on their mind is coming and finding some guy with an unlisted address who sits on a giant pile of guns and ammo and body armor and picking a fight. I'm pretty sure that's not real high on their list of priorities right now. Right now, they're going to be concerned with not getting caught. They're going to be concerned with consolidating their money and their business and filling that power vacuum. So again, people get ridiculous with this. Now, the other thing, people are like, well, you shouldn't have said this so soon. What do you mean I waited weeks? People are like, well, he just died. Guys, he didn't just die. I tried to tell you guys this a while back. Again, I already knew from, again, someone who was close to the family. The family had already been told he's gone. You guys need to decide how long you want to keep him on this life support. He's not coming back. He's been dead for weeks. All right, he was already dead. And the other information that we had publicly, if you put two and two together, his death was announced the day they admitted he was in the coma. All right, he was already dead, and the doctors already knew it. They had to put him in the coma to try to save his life, to try to see if his brain would heal. He was already gone. All right. His death was essentially announced already previously. People just didn't know enough to catch on to that fact. And that's what I was trying to say politely back then. He's already gone, guys. And it wasn't. I did that the next day after they officially announced his death. But guys, his death had already been unofficial for a little while. And I really and truly hope that none of the fans, I know you guys were holding on to hope, but that hope was really misplaced. It's like I said weeks ago, he was pretty much almost guaranteed he wasn't coming back. Just based upon the medical information that we had, it wasn't hard to put two and two together and realize when he overdosed and fell and hit his head, that was it. There was no more Rich Piana at that point, at least not in that body. I don't know what all of you believe personally, but that was the end of it, guys. So it wasn't that soon. And the thing is, it's all about to come out anyways. I've been sitting on it a really long time, chose to not say anything about it. I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and break this story. I'm going to break this story now. Because if I don't, someone else will. And I've known about it for a long time. And so have a lot of other people. This was really, really well known. It's not like this was a big secret. This was the worst kept, biggest secret in YouTube fitness. And that's the other thing. I'm going to step back and assess here too. People get so upset at different people's ethics and stuff. At the same time, these people are fans of Rich Piana. And I would step back and go, well, I don't know. What sort of ethics do you guys value? If you really and truly loved Rich Piana, you really and truly loved him in spite of the things that he was and he did, you probably don't have a traditional view of ethics either. Meaning different people have their own viewpoints of right and wrong in ethics, but I can assure you nothing about Rich Piana would have been considered ethical by mainstream society. In certain fringe societies and subcultures, absolutely. But I can assure you that mainstream people in the Western world, or pretty much any culture, would not have considered Rich to be a good person because of the things that he was even publicly involved in. And I'm not saying you don't have a right to your own views, because you do. You have a right to decide what you look up to. But keep in mind that from a traditional perspective, if you're a fan of someone who is a very publicly admitted massive abuser of anabolics, also, as we know from, again, other stories are going to come out, and it's been admitted he's used a lot of party drugs. Again, used a lot of party drugs. Also, again, you guys need to grasp this, involved in organized crime. Assaulted a mentally handicapped person on camera. Uses the N-word liberally behind closed doors. Again, by a lot of people's definitions, Rich wouldn't have been necessarily a good person. But it is your right to decide what ethics you choose to believe in, what you choose to follow. But just keep that in mind. You're talking about other people's ethics revolving this person, and by many people's standards, he wouldn't have been one of the good guys. And the thing is, that's kind of the interesting thing. A lot of his honesty about what he did maybe came back to him being a billboard for his own other business. And that's very much possibly the case. And that's what I'll say about Rich. You know what Rich's legacy is? Man was an amazing entrepreneur. That's what he was. He was an amazing businessman. He knew how to make money, and he knew how to make money on every level possible. Public market, gray market, black market. He knew how to milk all of them. And he was good at it. And the lifestyle that he lived publicly was absolute proof that he knew how to make money. And that's one thing that we've got to give him. You want Rich Piana's legacy? He was a successful businessman. That's what his legacy was. He was a very flawed human being, and those flaws killed him. But he did know how to make money. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.